Welcome back to the channel, where we uncover the untold stories behind reality TV's most shocking scandals. Love knows no boundaries, but sometimes boundaries know no love. This is the story of Jenny Slatten and Sumit Singh, two souls who dared to defy age, culture, and tradition for the sake of love. Their journey began with hope, laughter, and dreams of a shared future. But behind the smiles, there was a storm brewing. A storm of family expectations, cultural traditions, and the painful reality of what it means to fight for love in a world that refuses to accept it. Yes, you heard correctly. Jenny Slatten and her husband Sumit Singh had been trapped in family conflict for a long time. Sumit's parents never fully accepted Jenny. They always wanted Sumit to marry a younger Indian woman, start a proper family, have children, and continue the bloodline. After repeatedly hearing this from Sumit's parents, Jenny Slatten became emotionally broken. Jenny wants an independent life. Sumit wants to protect family tradition. Jenny says, "I don't want to live under anyone's control." But Sumit says, "This is our culture. We must take care of our parents." Because of this clash and the constant family drama, they decided to separate. In the end, their 4-year relationship ended due to family pressure. On October 18, their divorce was finalized in court. And after that, Sumit Singh, hoping to build a new life and considering his parents' wishes, married an Indian woman. Jenny Slatten became mentally devastated. She left India and moved to America forever. This is not just a love story. It is a story of sacrifice, heartbreak, and the painful truth that sometimes love alone is not enough. Jenny Slatten never imagined that her life would take such a dramatic turn. Living in California, she was a woman who had already seen the ups and downs of life. Divorced, with grown children, she longed for companionship, someone who would love her for who she was, not for what society expected her to be. On the other side of the world, in India, Sumit Singh was a young man in his early 30s. He was adventurous, curious, and open to the idea of connecting with people beyond his culture. When Jenny and Sumit first met online, it was casual, a friendship that blossomed into late-night conversations, laughter, and eventually, love. Jenny was captivated by Sumit's warmth. He was different from the men she had known. He listened, he cared, and he made her feel alive again. For Sumit, Jenny was not just a partner. She was a confidant, someone who understood him in ways no one else did. Their age difference raised eyebrows, but for them, love was ageless. When Jenny decided to travel to India to meet Sumit, it was a leap of faith. She left behind her familiar world to embrace a culture that was vibrant yet challenging. The streets of Delhi, the aroma of spices, the chaos of traffic. It was overwhelming. But Jenny's heart was focused on one thing: being with Sumit. Their first meeting was magical. Jenny described it as meeting someone I already knew in another life. Sumit held her hand, and in that moment, the world seemed to disappear. They laughed, they explored, and they dreamed of a future together. But love stories are rarely simple. From the very beginning, Sumit knew that his parents would never approve. In Indian tradition, marriage is not just about two individuals. It is about families, generations, and the continuation of bloodlines. Jenny was older, foreign, and unable to give them grandchildren. For Sumit's parents, this was unacceptable. Still, Jenny and Sumit pressed forward. They believed that love could conquer all. They moved in together, shared a home, and tried to build a life despite the whispers of neighbors and the disapproving looks from relatives. Jenny often said, "I don't care what people think. I care about us." But beneath the surface, cracks were forming. The love was strong, but the weight of tradition was stronger. And as their journey unfolded, the battle between love and culture would test them in ways they never imagined. From the very beginning, Jenny and Sumit's love was not just about two people. It was about two worlds colliding. Jenny came from a culture where independence and personal choice were celebrated. In America, she had lived freely, making her own decisions, carving her own path. For her, love was simple. Two people who cared for each other should be enough. But in India, love was never just about two hearts. It was about families, traditions, and the invisible weight of generations. Sumit's parents had raised him with the belief that marriage was not only a union of two individuals, but a sacred duty to continue the family line. They dreamed of a daughter-in-law who was young, Indian, and capable of giving them grandchildren. Jenny, with her age and foreign background, represented the opposite of everything they had envisioned. The first time Jenny met Sumit's parents, the tension was palpable. His mother's eyes scanned Jenny from head to toe, her silence louder than words. His father's questions were sharp, almost accusatory. Why would you choose someone so much older? What future can you have with her? Jenny tried to smile, tried to show respect, but inside she felt the sting of rejection. For Sumit, the situation was unbearable. He loved Jenny deeply, but he also loved his parents. In Indian culture, filial duty is not optional. It is expected, demanded, and honored. He found himself caught in a tug-of-war between the woman he adored and the family that had raised him. Jenny often expressed her frustration. "I don't want to live under anyone's control," she told Sumit one evening, her voice trembling. "I came here for love, not to be judged every day." Sumit, torn and exhausted, replied softly, "This is our culture, Jenny. We must take care of our parents. I can't just abandon them." The clash was not just about age or nationality, it was about identity. Jenny wanted freedom, respect, and a life built on love. Sumit wanted harmony, tradition, and the approval of his family. Their home became a battlefield of whispered arguments, silent tears, and endless compromises. Neighbors gossiped, relatives whispered, and the pressure mounted. Jenny felt like an outsider in every room she entered. Sumit felt like a traitor every time he defended her. The love that had once been their shield now became their burden. And yet, despite the pain, they held on. Jenny believed that if she proved her loyalty, the family would eventually accept her. Sumit believed that if he balanced both worlds carefully, he could keep everyone happy. But deep down, both knew that the storm was only beginning, and the hardest battles were yet to come. Jenny Slatton had always believed that love could bridge any gap, age, culture, or distance. But as the days turned into months in India, she realized that acceptance was not something easily won. Every step she took seemed to remind her that she was an outsider in a world that valued tradition above individuality. In their small home, Jenny tried to adapt. She learned to cook Indian dishes, practiced Hindi phrases, and even dressed in traditional kurtas to show respect. She wanted Sumit's family to see her not as a foreigner, but as a woman who loved their son deeply. Yet, no matter how hard she tried, the whispers continued. Relatives would glance at her with suspicion, neighbors would gossip, and Sumit's parents remained cold. Sumit's mother, in particular, was relentless. She would remind Jenny of her age, her inability to bear children, and her foreign background. "You cannot give us what we need," she said bluntly one evening. Jenny, holding back tears, replied softly, "I can give him love. Isn't that enough?" But in that household, love was never enough. Jenny's struggle was not just external, it was internal too. She began to question herself. Was she selfish for wanting Sumit to choose her over his family? Was she wrong to believe that love could conquer centuries of tradition? At night, she would cry silently, afraid that her presence was causing Sumit pain. Despite the rejection, Jenny refused to give up. She attended family gatherings, even when she felt unwelcome. She smiled through the discomfort, hoping that one day her sincerity would break through the walls of judgment. She believed that if she showed patience, the family would eventually see her heart. But the pressure was suffocating. Sumit was torn between defending Jenny and respecting his parents. Arguments erupted in their home. Jenny would plead, "Why can't they just accept me?" Sumit, exhausted, would whisper, "I'm trying, Jenny, but this is bigger than us." The more Jenny fought for acceptance, the more resistance she faced. It was as if every effort she made only highlighted the differences. She wanted independence, but she was trapped in a cycle of proving herself to people who had already made up their minds. Her struggle became symbolic, a battle between love and tradition, individuality, and conformity. Jenny's heart was heavy, but her spirit remained defiant. She often told herself, "I didn't come this far to give up now." Yet deep down, she knew that the cracks were widening. Acceptance seemed like a distant dream, and the love that once felt invincible was slowly being tested by forces beyond her control. For Sumit Singh, life had become a battlefield of emotions. On one side stood Jenny, the woman he loved with all his heart. On the other side stood his parents, the people who had raised him, sacrificed for him, and now demanded that he honor tradition. Every day, he felt himself being pulled in two directions, and the weight of that struggle was crushing. Sumit had grown up in a household where family came first. In Indian culture, parents are not just guardians, they are pillars of life, and children are expected to care for them until their last breath. To defy them was seen as betrayal, a stain on honor. Yet, when Sumit looked into Jenny's eyes, he saw a future filled with love, laughter, and freedom. He wanted both worlds, but the truth was clear. He could not have them at the same time. Jenny often reminded him of the sacrifices she had made. "I left my country, my family, my comfort, all for you," she would say, her voice heavy with emotion. Sumit would nod, knowing she was right. But then his mother's words would echo in his mind. "She cannot give us grandchildren. She cannot carry our legacy." Those words cut deep, leaving him paralyzed between love and duty. At night, Sumit lay awake, staring at the ceiling, his mind racing. He imagined a life with Jenny, peaceful, independent, away from judgment. Then he imagined a life without her, one where his parents smiled again, proud of him for marrying a younger Indian woman. Both visions tore at his soul. Arguments became frequent. Jenny wanted clarity, but Sumit struggled to give it. "Why can't you choose me?" she asked one evening, tears streaming down her face. Sumit whispered, "Because choosing you means losing them, and choosing them means losing you." It was a truth that neither could escape. Friends advised him to follow his heart, but relatives warned him of disgrace. His parents reminded him daily of his duty, while Jenny reminded him daily of his love. He was trapped in a cycle where every decision felt like betrayal. Sumit's torn heart became the silent villain of their relationship. He wanted to protect Jenny, but he also wanted to protect his parents. He wanted freedom, but he also wanted tradition. And as the days passed, the cracks in their love grew wider. Deep down, Sumit knew that a choice would have to be made, but whichever path he chose, someone he loved would be left broken. The walls of Sumit's family home echoed with tension. Every visit Jenny made was met with cold stares, whispered judgments, and outright disapproval. For Sumit's parents, her presence was not just unwelcome, it was a direct challenge to everything they believed in. His mother, stern and unwavering, often reminded him of his duty. "You are our only son. You must give us grandchildren. You must continue the family line." Her words were sharp, like arrows piercing the fragile peace Jenny and Sumit tried to maintain. His father, though quieter, carried the same weight of expectation. He would sit silently, his disapproving gaze speaking louder than any words. Jenny felt the pressure every day. She tried to win them over with kindness, cooking meals, showing respect, and participating in family traditions. But no matter what she did, it was never enough. The family's rejection was not based on her actions. It was rooted in her very identity. She was older, foreign, and unable to give them the grandchildren they longed for. The relentless pressure began to seep into Jenny and Sumit's relationship. Arguments flared more often. Jenny would cry, asking, "Why do they hate me so much? Why can't they see that I love you?" Sumit, torn and exhausted, would reply, "It's not about love, Jenny. It's about tradition. They will never let go of it." The parents' demands grew louder. They insisted Sumit marry a younger Indian woman, someone who could fit seamlessly into their world. They reminded him of his duty to the family, the community, and the generations yet to come. For them, Jenny was not just unsuitable, she was a threat to their legacy. Sumit tried to shield Jenny from the worst of it, but the pressure was unrelenting. His parents would call him late at night, pleading, demanding, even threatening to disown him if he continued with Jenny. The emotional toll was immense. He loved Jenny, but he could not bear the thought of losing his parents. Jenny, meanwhile, felt her spirit breaking. She had left her home, her country, and her family to be with Sumit. Yet here she was, treated like an intruder in the life she had sacrificed everything to build. The rejection was constant, and the weight of it was crushing. The relentless pressure from Sumit's parents was more than just disapproval. It was a force that slowly eroded the foundation of Jenny and Sumit's love. And as the days passed, the cracks widened, pushing them closer to a decision that neither wanted to face. Jenny Slaton had always been a fighter. She had crossed oceans, left behind her familiar life in America, and embraced a culture that was not her own. All for the man she loved. But even the strongest hearts have limits, and Jenny's was beginning to crack under the weight of rejection, judgment, and constant pressure. Every day felt like a test she could never pass. No matter how much she tried to prove her love, Sumit's parents reminded her of what she could not give: youth, children, and a proper Indian family. Their words echoed in her mind, slowly eroding her confidence. Jenny began to feel invisible, as though her sacrifices meant nothing. At home, the tension grew unbearable. Arguments with Sumit became more frequent. Jenny would plead for him to stand firmly by her side, but his hesitation only deepened her pain. "I don't want to live under anyone's control," she cried one evening, her voice trembling. "I came here for love, not to be treated like a mistake." Sumit tried to comfort her, but his words often felt hollow. He was torn, exhausted, and unable to give her the certainty she needed. Jenny began to feel isolated, as though she was fighting a battle alone. Nights were filled with silent tears, mornings with forced smiles, and days with the heavy burden of pretending everything was fine. Her breaking point came during a family gathering. Surrounded by relatives, Jenny overheard whispers about her age, her inability to bear children, and her unsuitable presence. One relative bluntly asked Sumit, "Why are you wasting your life with her?" Jenny's heart shattered. She excused herself, walked outside, and broke down in tears. For the first time, she realized that no matter how hard she tried, she would never be accepted. That night, Jenny confronted Sumit. Her voice was raw, filled with pain. "I can't do this anymore. I can't keep proving myself to people who will never see me for who I am. I love you, but I'm losing myself." Sumit stood silently, his eyes filled with guilt. He wanted to fight for her, but the weight of his parents' expectations was crushing him too. Jenny's breaking point was not just about the family. It was about her own survival. She had given everything, but in return, she had lost her peace, her dignity, and her sense of belonging. For Jenny, the realization was devastating. Love alone was not enough. And as the cracks widened, the path toward separation became clearer than ever before. The love story that once felt unstoppable had now reached its breaking point. Jenny and Sumit had fought for years against cultural expectations, family disapproval, and relentless pressure. But as the days grew heavier, both realized that their love was no longer enough to hold back the storm. Jenny's breaking point had left scars. She was exhausted, emotionally drained, and desperate for peace. She had given everything: her time, her sacrifices, her heart. But in return, she felt only rejection. One evening, sitting across from Sumit in their small living room, she spoke the words that had been haunting her. "I can't keep living like this. I love you, but I'm losing myself." Sumit's heart sank. He had always believed they could find a way, that somehow love would bridge the gap between tradition and freedom. But deep down, he knew Jenny was right. The constant battles with his parents, the endless arguments, and the silent tears had taken their toll. He whispered back, "I don't want to lose you, Jenny, but I can't abandon my parents either." The silence that followed was deafening. Both knew what it meant. Their love had reached a crossroads, and the path forward was no longer shared. In the days that followed, the conversations grew more serious. Jenny spoke of returning to America, of rebuilding her life away from the judgment and pain. Sumit, though devastated, admitted that his parents' demands were unyielding. He confessed that he could not continue living in defiance of them. The decision to separate was not made in anger, but in sorrow. They held each other, cried together, and remembered the moments of joy they had shared. Jenny told him, "You will always be a part of me, but I need to be free." Sumit replied, "You gave me love I never thought I'd find, but I must honor my family." On October 18, their 4-year relationship officially ended in court. The divorce papers were signed, and with them, the dreams they had once built together dissolved into memory. Jenny walked out of the courtroom with tears in her eyes, knowing she was leaving behind not just a marriage, but a chapter of her life. Sumit stood silently, his heart heavy, realizing that love had slipped through his fingers. The decision to separate was the most painful choice they had ever made. Yet, in that moment, it was the only choice left. Their love had been real, but the weight of tradition had proven stronger. And as they walked away from each other, 2 destinies began to unfold, one in America and one in India. October 18 was a day Jenny Slatton would never forget. The air in the courtroom was heavy, filled with silence and anticipation. For Jenny and Sumit, this was not just a legal proceeding. It was the final chapter of a love story that had once defied borders, cultures, and expectations. Jenny sat quietly, her hands trembling as she clutched the divorce papers. She looked across the room at Sumit, the man she had once believed would be her forever. His eyes were downcast, his expression solemn. They did not need words. The silence between them spoke volumes. The judge read through the case, the details of their marriage, and the reasons for separation. Jenny's heart ached as she listened. Every sentence felt like a reminder of the battles they had fought, the family conflicts, the cultural clashes, the endless arguments. It was as if their entire journey had been condensed into a few cold, legal statements. When the judge asked if they both agreed to the divorce, Jenny's voice cracked as she whispered, "Yes." Sumit followed, his tone heavy with regret. In that moment, the reality hit them both. Their love, once so powerful, had been defeated by forces beyond their control. Jenny's tears fell silently as the judge stamped the papers, finalizing the divorce. She remembered the nights of laughter, the dreams they had shared, the promises they had made. All of it dissolved into ink on paper, a legal ending to an emotional journey. Sumit, though outwardly calm, felt his heart shatter. He had loved Jenny deeply, but the weight of his parents' expectations had proven stronger. Watching her walk away from the courtroom was like watching a piece of himself disappear forever. For Jenny, the courtroom was not just the end of a marriage, it was the end of a dream. She had believed love could conquer tradition, but the reality was harsher. As she stepped outside, the world felt unfamiliar, cold, and empty. She knew she could no longer stay in India. The rejection, the pain, and the finality of the divorce had broken her spirit. That day marked the turning point. Jenny would return to America, determined to rebuild her life, even if it meant starting over alone. Sumit would remain in India, bound by duty, preparing to marry the woman his parents had chosen. The courtroom had delivered its verdict, but the true sentence was emotional. 2 hearts separated, 2 lives forever changed. The courtroom had closed one chapter, but life quickly began writing the next. For Jenny Slatton, the divorce was not just the end of a marriage. It was the end of her dream of building a life in India. For Sumit Singh, it was the beginning of a new journey, one shaped by family duty rather than personal desire. Jenny packed her belongings quietly, each item a reminder of the love she had fought so hard to protect. The home she had shared with Sumit now felt like a cage of memories, laughter that had faded, promises that had broken, and dreams that had dissolved. With a heavy heart, she booked her flight back to America. As she boarded the plane, Jenny whispered to herself, "I gave everything, but it wasn't enough." The land that had once felt like a second home now felt like a battlefield she could no longer endure. Back in India, Sumit's parents wasted no time. They arranged for him to marry a younger Indian woman, someone who fit their vision of a proper daughter-in-law. The wedding was traditional, filled with rituals, blessings, and the approval of relatives. On the surface, it was a celebration of family honor. But for Sumit, it was bittersweet. He smiled for the cameras, bowed to his elders, and performed the rituals, but deep inside, he carried the ghost of Jenny's love. Jenny, meanwhile, tried to rebuild her life in America. She returned to familiar streets, old friends, and the comfort of independence. Yet, the scars of her journey remained. She often sat alone, replaying the moments she had shared with Sumit, the laughter, the tears, the whispered promises. Though she was free from the judgment of his family, she was not free from the memories of their love. Sumit's new marriage brought peace to his parents, but not to his heart. He fulfilled their wishes, honored tradition, and carried the family legacy forward. Yet, in quiet moments, he thought of Jenny, the woman who had loved him beyond borders, beyond age, beyond expectations. Two lives had diverged. Jenny sought healing in America, determined to reclaim her independence and dignity. Sumit remained in India, bound by duty, living a life chosen for him rather than by him. Their paths no longer crossed, but their story remained etched in both their hearts. The love that had once defied the odds had finally surrendered to tradition, and as Jenny and Sumit walked separate roads, the world was left to wonder, was this truly destiny, or simply the cost of love in a world ruled by expectations? The divorce had ended their marriage, but the emotional echoes lingered long after. Jenny Slatten and Sumit Singh were no longer husband and wife, yet their lives remained forever marked by the love they once shared and the battles they had fought. For Jenny, returning to America was both liberating and heartbreaking. She stepped back into familiar streets, surrounded by the comfort of independence and the support of her family. Yet, the scars of her journey in India followed her. Nights were often filled with memories of Sumit, his laughter, his warmth, the promises they had once whispered. Jenny tried to rebuild, focusing on her own happiness. But the pain of rejection and the weight of cultural conflict remained etched in her heart. She found solace in freedom. No longer judged by relatives or controlled by tradition, Jenny embraced her independence. She reconnected with old friends, rediscovered hobbies, and began to heal. But deep down, she carried a quiet sadness, the knowledge that love, no matter how strong, had not been enough to overcome the barriers of culture and family. In India, Sumit's life took a different path. His new marriage brought peace to his parents, who finally felt their son had fulfilled his duty. Family gatherings were once again filled with smiles, blessings, and approval. On the surface, Sumit had restored honor and harmony. But inside, he carried a silent burden. Sumit often thought of Jenny. He remembered her sacrifices, her resilience, and the love she had given him without hesitation. Though he had chosen duty, he could not erase the memories of their time together. His new marriage was stable, but it lacked the passion and defiance that Jenny had brought into his life. He had honored tradition, but at the cost of his heart. The aftermath of their separation was not just about two individuals. It was about two destinies shaped by choices. Jenny chose independence, reclaiming her life in America. Sumit chose duty, binding himself to family expectations in India. Both paths carried pain, both carried healing, and both carried the weight of what might have been. Their story became a reminder of the complex balance between love and tradition. It showed the world that sometimes, no matter how deep the love, cultural expectations can be stronger. Jenny and Sumit had loved fiercely, but in the end, they walked separate roads, one toward freedom, the other toward duty. And though their lives diverged, their story remained unforgettable, a testament to the power of love, the pain of sacrifice, and the reality that not all love stories end with happily ever after. And so, Jenny Slatten returned to America, carrying the scars of a love that could not survive the weight of tradition. Sumit Singh remained in India, bound by duty, living the life his parents had chosen for him. Two souls, once united, now walking separate paths. But their story leaves us with questions that linger long after the final chapter. Was this truly the end of Jenny and Sumit's love story, or just another pause in a saga that fate may one day revisit? Should love always bow to tradition, or should tradition evolve to honor love? Did Sumit make the right choice in protecting his family's legacy, or did he sacrifice the one person who truly understood him? And if you were in Jenny's shoes, would you have stayed and fought, or walked away forever? The answers are not simple, and perhaps that is the point. Jenny and Sumit's journey reminds us that love, culture, and family are forces that can both unite and destroy. Their story is not just about heartbreak. It is about the choices we make when love collides with duty. So, what do you think? Was this a tragedy of culture or a lesson in sacrifice? More update. 90-Day Fiance. Jenny Slatten surprises fans with massive transformation, looks younger in rare photo. And GoFundMe couple takes down fundraising post after facing massive backlash. Sumit's friend calls his cafe business doomed. Jenny accuses him of spreading negativity. I don't trust him. And why is Sumit spraying cow urine around his new cafe? Reason revealed. I will explain everything. Celebrity couple Jenny Slatten and Sumit Singh are enjoying Jenny's big day. The sudden change in her behavior has shocked her fans even more. The Native American has revealed her stunning new style, and her admirers are speechless. Jenny and Sumit's journey has been covered on The Other Way once again. Concerning indicators regarding the former's health were picked up by viewers of the current program. They thought she needed to prioritize her health and start exercising after relocating in with Sumit's parents. The reality TV star has been adjusting to her new life. Jenny and Sumit also battled their financial problems by starting a coffee business together. The former appears to have prioritized her health recently. What does she appear like now? Whose words has she spoken? On social media, Jenny Slatten frequently updates Sumit on her lovely life. Since her marriage, she has been embracing her new life in India with open arms. The star of 90-Day Fiance has been gradually settling into her new life and growing closer to her in-laws. Jenny has assimilated into Indian society and is getting along great with everyone. To brag about her ideal life, she frequently shares updates about them. The TLC star's new hairstyle, however, caught fans off guard. Instead of her typical blonde hair, Jenny sported straight black hair in an Instagram selfie. Her devoted fan base was ecstatic to witness the dramatic transformation. Their consensus was that it complemented her face superbly. There were a few who questioned whether it was authentic or merely a filter. It seems like Jenny Slatten has been making an effort to improve her health and fitness recently. Her metamorphosis has taken onlookers by surprise. Her breathtaking beauty stunned fans of 90-Day Fiance. Sumit recently shared an update with his followers showing Jenny's remarkable transformation. A snapshot of his wife holding a coffee in a happy pose was posted by him. As she posed for the photo, the reality TV star looked absolutely stunning. Slatten flaunted her slim figure and radiant youth. With a heartfelt message, Sumit wished a happy birthday to the woman who brings so much joy into his life. He raved about his wife, saying that she was the nicest thing that had ever happened to her, and that she brought so much joy into his life. The dramatic transformation in Jenny's appearance, though, took people by surprise. Also, in the most recent pictures, she seemed really youthful. The reality TV personality sported loose brown hair. On Jenny's birthday, a number of fans sent well wishes. To their amazement, though, she looked completely different, and for the better. Just remember, Jenny, you're not aging, you're improving. Gushed one admirer. The continuation of Sumit and Jenny's relationship brought joy to another user. A large number of viewers of 90-Day Fiance was similarly complimentary of Jenny's new look. Everyone is happy to see that she is making healthy choices. How do you feel about this? Drop a comment below and tell us the story. This 90-Day Fiance's GoFundMe couple takes down fundraising post after facing massive backlash. There is no denying the notoriety of the 90-Day Fiance couple, Brandon and Mary. Through their many scams and phony fundraisers, they have established quite a reputation. Financial abuse is another accusation leveled against the couple. Some of their lies were exposed by the fans in an embarrassing way, but it seems like they haven't learned their lesson. They also created another GoFundMe page to raise money. but they also removed it after receiving a lot of negative feedback. Fans were so outraged by their history of defrauding individuals that they panned their article with horrible comments. Former admirers claimed they were plotting a second child as a publicity stunt. Fans are accusing her of fabricating Lola's illness once again. To find out what happened, continue reading. On multiple occasions, fans exposed Mary and Brandon for abusing their fandom. The 90-Day Fiancé duo is therefore well known for their history of fan fraud. Therefore, their legion of skeptics were understandably rattled by the news of their second baby. Fans, however, were right as predicted. A Reddit user uploaded several messages in which the pair begged their followers for attention. A picture of him in the kitchen was what she shared online. What a wonderful spouse she had, she said. But the caption was so bizarre. Despite her best intentions, the 90-Day Fiancé star left the captions with embedded Google search results. As far as engagement hashtags go, Mary wrote, "Best husband ever." She neglected to remove the instructions she provided to the AI to select the most engaging emoji and hashtags for the caption. As a result, the fans once again foiled them. Mary and Brandon, the couple behind 90-Day Fiancé, have a history of stealing from and defrauding their fans. The criminal couple has covered every trick in scamming 101, from fake medical diagnoses to pregnancy planning. The fanbase has been somewhat critical of the group's actions and behavior over the years, but it seems like they haven't learned their lesson. Their grandma, Lola, was the beneficiary of a recent GoFundMe campaign. In their hour of need, they asked people to be generous and support the family. "We are humbly requesting some assistance for our Lola," the post began. "The grandma is obviously sick and requires oxygen." They let their followers know that they were running low on funds as the medical bills continue to mount up. Until the balance is settled, the hospital will not be able to continue her medication. The caption continued, "No amount of help, no matter how big or small, would be greatly appreciated," they added. The pair thanked everyone for their prayers, love, and kindness at the end of the message. This, however, was met with the expectedly negative reaction. Their ensuing hateful, insulting, and critical remarks pounded the post. Because of their history of scamming, the fans behaved in this way. As a result, the couple quickly removed the fundraiser post. In a separate post, they also made a statement, "We have chosen to end the fundraising campaign." The amount of critical and abusive remarks has reached an unacceptable level, it stated. Furthermore, they conveyed their appreciation to those who ultimately contributed. Today, being Mary or Brandon is definitely not easy. Sumit's friend calls his cafe business doomed. Jenny accuses him of spreading negativity. "I don't trust him." At the 90-Day Fiancé cafe that Sumit Singh and Jenny Slatten had just opened, an unannounced visitor showed up. With a lot of hard effort, the two are determined to fix their financial situation and turn their cafe into a success. The reality TV star's Indian families were very supportive, but it seems like Rohit, Sumit's friend, went to the cafe to spread hatred. To shake their trust, he threw some unsettling truth bombs at him. Jenny and Rohit used to be quite close, but now they're not. The former was never fond of his constant teasing and mocking of her. However, during his most recent visit to the cafe, she did not experience any positive vibes from him. What was his action? Why is Jenny so upset with him? The stars of 90-Day Fiancé for the first time, Sumit and Jenny, are opening a cafe. All they are is amateurs attempting to create a company from the ground up. Finding the perfect spot for their enterprise was a challenge for the TLC stars. To stock up on used cafe equipment, Sumit stopped by a friend's warehouse as well. The condition of the place startled Jenny, who described it as disgusting. Rohit, Sumit's buddy, made fun of her for being so disgusted by everything. Singh was only looking to stock up on a few things that would be perfect for his cafe. So, Rohit was curious about the cafe's chef. In a fit of uncontrollable laughter, he glanced over at Jenny and recalled the spaghetti she had once cooked for him. Nevertheless, Jenny was not fond of Rohit's conduct. She questioned his business acumen, wondering why it had to close its doors. Jenny Slatten and Sumit Singh continue to face challenges in running their business. They are making every effort to turn things around. A preview of the next episode was recently published by 90 Day Fiance. It depicts Sumit's friend Rohit's initial visit to the cafe. Having a friend for the first time brought joy to the former. However, his expression turned apprehensive when his companion revealed some unsettling truths to him. "Who does that? Your parents are cooking. You don't have chefs," Rohit remarked. He made the casual prediction that the TLC star's business will soon be closed due to his lack of professionalism in running it. But Jenny was aware of Sumit's friend's true intentions. "I know he's here to judge and be negative," she revealed. Her complete lack of faith in him is evident. Several followers agreed with Jenny after Onfriadatit, a blogger, tweeted the teaser on Instagram. "His friend is a hater," one supporter stated, echoing Jenny's sentiments. A second person expressed their desire for her and Sumit's calf to succeed. The fans are perplexed as to why the companion of the latter keeps bringing him down. In their minds, he must have been envious of the couple and plotting their downfall as a business. Attempting to establish a successful cafe from the ground up, Sumit and Jenny are complete novices. Everyone is happy that the family is pitching in to help. Their acquaintance from 90 Day Fiance should have offered some assistance rather than passing judgment, in their opinion. How do you feel about this? Leave a comment with your opinions. Why is Sumit spraying cow urine around his new calf? Reason revealed. The 90 Day Fiance star Sumit Singh has just raised the bar so high that ribbon-cutting ceremonies are obsolete. As for his freshly launched eatery in India, he chose to sprinkle cow pee all over the place. Yes, you did read that correctly. Cow pee. Jenny saw all unfold before her very eyes, and she was about to pass out. Even though others doubt Sumit's civic awareness, he maintains that his actions have a greater purpose. Fans are still trying to gather themselves after hearing him reveal the true reason. Tell me the truth. Tell me what's going on here. How much did he divulge? This topic is pretty intense, so you should keep reading to find out more. Viewers of 90 Day Fiance witness Sumit Singh's heroic efforts to manage his business in the face of seemingly insurmountable obstacles. It would appear that his calf does not have enough supply of filtered water. His mother Sana even cooked with water from the bathroom's faucet because of how bad things got. When Sumit had to throw out all the food right before the grand opening, it was obvious that he was depressed. Conversely, Jenny has decided she can no longer tolerate her in-laws. She had already stated her intention to leave Sana's residence, and she would not hesitate to leave on her own if Sumit refused to come with her. With so many challenges on his hands, spectators began to question whether Sumit would ever be able to turn his business around. Star of 90 Day Fiance, Sumit Singh, held pre-wedding ceremonies at his cafe and invited clerics. The second group was dispersing water, which Sumit later disclosed had also been contaminated with cow pee. When Jenny initially heard this, she couldn't believe it and questioned whether she had gotten it correctly. The fact that Americans would never dream of bringing cow urine near a kitchen was another point she made. However, his determination was clearly unwavering. Cow pee is highly sacred and pure in his culture, he informed the cameras. The famous person elaborated on the cow's sacred status and its relationship to the Hindu pantheon. Like a mother, a cow gives milk, as Sumit pointed out. As a result, it is revered as a mother figure in Singh's culture. The difference between the American and Indian practices of using holy water and cow pee was also highlighted by Sumit. His look, though, suggested that Jenny isn't sold on the concept. Some viewers went so far as to admit in the comments section that the explanation failed to impress them. "I learnt a lot watching this," one person remarked. "Also, I will never dine at or visit specific places. No offense." Somebody else chimed in with the question, "How is pee holy? Are you in agreement? Please inform us in the space provided." No more today. What are you thinking about this gossip today? Let us know in the comments, and stay tuned by subscribing to our channel to get more updates like this. Thank you.